All right, my friends, welcome to episode 290.5 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry the Professor, and it's just me tonight giving you a little preview here. This is actually us digging back into our archives. This is episode 227 from, I believe, 2019, where we were talking about Mass Effect 2, which is a good episode to bring back because the Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out this Friday. And unfortunately, both Anthony and I are unable to record a full episode this weekend, so we figured we'd present an episode from our archives. Please enjoy, and we will see you next week when we will be talking at length about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because we will have it in our grubby little hands. Thank you. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 227 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the Professor, at Prof Plays Games. Over there's Anthony, the Dev. He works on video games, and he is at Summer Speak, tweeting about a game that we're going to talk about tonight, Mass Effect 2.
10 years.
Damn.
We're old. God.
Was it like to the day? Like the 26th?
To the day, 26th.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
January 26th, 2010.
Dang.
Just squeaking into that new game into the decade.
Right. I'm sure it was delayed.
Shockingly, I honestly don't know. I don't remember if it had a delay or not on it. It might have, or maybe it wasn't a public delay. Maybe they just knew internally. Because it's the type of game, because the first Mass Effect was a holiday release. It was around Thanksgiving. It was on store shelves ready for Black Friday, because I picked it up. Weirdly, when I was down in San Diego at a family Thanksgiving down there.
Oh, interesting.
My father-in-law took me to Fry's and I bought it.
Thank you for the ride.
Not that I could play it. I couldn't play it until I got back home.
Right.
And it only came out on the 360 because Microsoft published it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But if that game came out today, changing very little about it, it would still feel modern to me.
Mass Effect 2, I mean, I played it today.
Yeah.
I installed it. I did install some texture mods to it because people still are making texture mods for it.
So they're basically making it look better and better.
I mean, it doesn't change the models. One, the geometry, like the model detail, still just fine. The texture mods just make it look incredible. They use 4K textures, so it's just super detailed on textures. Awesome. And then it's a 10-year-old game I have modern graphics cards, so I can run it at 4K and then downscale it to 1080p on my monitor.
Oh, wow.
So I'm running it at 4K, and then my graphics card is rendering it too, taking that image and shrinking it nicely to 1080p. Nice. So it looks even better. It looks so good.
Right, because that crisp and then shrunk down.
Yeah. It's
nice.
Amazing, and I mean, I only played probably an hour just in the end, and then got through the intro. And
so she get jettisoned into space.
God, it was such a good intro. Holy shit!
I remember starting that after I'd played one on my TV on the Xbox, and then I loaded that up I played it on my MacBook, and it played pretty good.
Yeah.
Just that intro, and I was just fucking hooked, and I'm like, okay, I gotta play this. I'm not gonna play it here.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing on my computer.
It's so good. I don't think I had any of this game spoiled for me back in 2010. I was there the day it came out. I played it on PC because Mass Effect was out on PC at that point, the first one. So I was able to play through the first one on PC, have a save, and load that right into Mass Effect 2. And I was ready to go on release day. And I'm pretty sure I stood up very late that night.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And that intro, just so unexpected to have your main character killed in the first 5 minutes of the game. And you're being like, what the fuck just happened? What is this game? It starts
with that attack, and it's just everything's on fire. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And it's just it pulls you in. It's so engaging so quickly.
Yeah. And then it goes immediately from there. Yeah, you're like, oh, maybe you can... No, you're not surviving. Okay. And then just bringing you, back to life.
Right.
At
so
that,
you kind of survive.
You do, in a weird, super weird way. which was it's just a great setup for the game. Like, just spinning the universe on its head, and what you can do in the universe now, because you're not a soldier anymore, you're not military. You are something else now. And it really just, I don't know, just sets up the tone for the entire game, in such a good way.
I liked that because I had my save on the Xbox and then I started playing on the PC, so I couldn't pull it over, the save. So by her dying and then coming back a couple years later or whatever, it just felt like it was like a new.
That's true.
So I felt like, okay, like there's some sort of like my head canon, like filled that in for me. Are you playing FemShep or are you playing a male shepherd?
FemShep, of course.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
FemShep, best shep.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I've never played the male shepherd, so
I have played male shepherd. I have canonically my female shepherd is soldier class all the way through, and then I have a broshep adept, I believe. Yeah, I was doing all the biotic stuff with broshep. Yeah. I just wanted to have them both. I still prefer FemShep. I like Jennifer Hale's voice acting quite a her delivery just has a little bit more power to it.
Now, I always played the FemShep I didn't alter any of the physical. I just left it default.
Yeah, mostly, roughly, yeah. But yeah, I'm amazed at how well this game holds up 10 years later. Like a 10-year-old game usually doesn't hold up this well, I'll be honest.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it does. Plays just fine. Looks amazing. Story is still amazing.
It holds up in ways that I feel like 3 doesn't. I mean, obviously the gameplay is quite similar, but in terms of how, maybe it's just the ending, but the way that everything like comes to the conclusion feels like it might be, if it were attempted again now, like the end of a trilogy, like it might be done better.
Yeah.
Simply because I'm having a hard time articulating this. So it's simply because of the way Mass Effect 3 was received initially. I feel like that's changed, and maybe you can correct me on this, but it's changed, or at least it lingers in the air when people are like wrapping up a series or whatever. So I feel like it would be different now, not just because of the ending, but the way people wrap up series now, I feel like is slightly different because of the way that Mass Effect 3 was received and then in some way redone.
Yeah. Kind of. Barely. It's not a huge change, but...
Right.
It still just is what it... Yeah, it just didn't wrap up the thing. But
do you find that lingers in devs' heads? Like, if they're working on a series and they're thinking, like, we want to avoid the Mass Effect 3 ending issue, or do they just not even think about it?
I'll say on anyone that I've talked to that's done big story stuff, you can't separate yourself out from the media that's been out there and what people are saying about different things. But I think I'd have a hard time seeing any of them analyzing specifically why it failed, like very specific to the story, and more being like, hey, we don't want to repeat that mistake. Let's just make sure that we do a lot of prep on the ending and writing and rewriting and passes. We should just do more work on the end. More than anything, just do more work on the end. Make sure that it's landing.
Yes, and that's what I mean, is that I feel like more care is put into it because of that whole issue, whereas perhaps before, a couple passes, looks good, feels good, maybe the fine-tooth comb does not come out, but now I think it does.
I think it does, especially, trying to close up big, epic arcs like that.
Right.
What has come out that has been the closing of a multi-game series, like Witcher 3?
I was going to say Witcher 3, which I think ends really well.
It does. I don't think they looked at or even cared about Mass Effect 3. And how.
Well, and it's also not fair, because Witcher 3 wrapped up the trilogy by having 2 extra games they called DLC.
And I don't even feel Witcher 3 is really... Witchers 1, 2, and 3 aren't really a cohesive trilogy.
No, especially not like Mass Effect. Where
3...
The saves, I mean, well, the saves do carry forward, especially between 2 and 3, but it's not the... I mean, it's similar. I mean, they had to have looked at Mass Effect, because the way that the save files move forward with the choices that you made.
Sure. But playing Witcher 3 and having played some of Witcher 1 and then most of Witcher 2, Witcher 3 doesn't feel like an actual sequel to those games. It feels like its own game.
Yeah.
It's like...
Just because it's so improved?
Yeah. It's so different than those previous 2 games. improved in so many ways, and it's not really continuing the story from those two games in a lot of ways. It's its own story of Geralt. They really did the games very similar to the short story collections, really,
So
where they're just like they're telling, each game is telling an individual story of Geralt in a different time
with
doing
the same
different
characters, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense.
They're not trying to like cohesively link like the trilogy together. Like they did not conceive Witcher as a trilogy, as far as I can tell. Like when they made Witcher 1, they did not. They're like, we're going to make 3 games.
Exactly. And when they made 3, they're like, we're done with this trilogy. And that's like, now you're probably not done with this fucking series.
No, I don't think they're done. I've just give them some time to finish Cyberpunk and then many years, and we'll see what we get. But no, I definitely feel like the one thing Mass Effect 3 doesn't do is it doesn't hurt the second game, though. Like, I don't think it makes Mass Effect 2 a worse game, because it doesn't have a great ending. 3.
No, I think that's true because of the way that Mass Effect 2 ends.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very self-contained. I do think some people might say that Mass Effect 3 made Mass Effect Andromeda a worse game.
Probably.
And obviously neither of us have played Andromeda, so I'm not sure. It just...
I mean, it killed... there was no place to go after 3.
Right.
If you're going to continue this timeline forward. 3 was a pretty definitive end to the Mass Effect timeline.
Right.
So it felt like they really, for Andromeda, when they're talking about the story, they really had to stretch how they were going to tell another story.
Was there any like other media work done with Mass Effect 2 specifically, in terms of like comics to fill out the...
Oh yeah, there were
some of the
comics.
story, whatever. Okay.
There was Mass Effect comics around this time. I read some of them. There was stuff about the Elusive Man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Or background on Morden or Jack or whatever.
Definitely, what was it? Elusive Man. There was, I believe, comics about, what one was this? I read some of them. I just gotta remember what it was. Yeah, there was like a comic series that talked about stuff leading up to Mass Effect 2. There was a series about the Elusive Man, and just kind of who he was, his backstory. Invasion. A thing all about Arya and the station that she's in. What is that? Why am I forgetting about the station there? The big first space station you go to that has the Afterlife Club in it.
Oh God! Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the person that runs that. Arya.
Yeah.
Like, there's a comic all about her and her protecting that station.
She's a cool character.
She was a badass character. I do remember that initial time when you first meet her, and the camera cuts, and the whole cinematography around meeting her is like, don't fuck with Arya, basically. Yeah, there's been comics all around before Mass Effect, and between Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2, there's a lot of comics. And then there's some stuff like around 3, but nothing like post 3.
Yeah.
Like they don't. But yeah.
I wonder if there was that kind of stuff leading up to Andromeda that I didn't pay attention to.
There was one. I can see one comic here that I didn't read that was a comic series that ties into Andromeda. Short story collections. I mean, there's the books, which are all like kind of more set around Mass Effect 1 time frame. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff. But, yeah. I don't know. Just playing through this game, I'm just amazed at how well the characters still stand up. The voice acting is amazing constantly throughout these games. The fact that they decided to be like, we're going to voice act everything is pretty insane.
Right.
Because back 10 years ago, this was a pretty huge deal. That, like, every line was voice acted. Every character...
set the stage for those kind of games moving forward.
And they definitely improved all of their, like, for when you talk about, like, the big computer RPG companies and stuff, and, like, BioWare's doing their stuff, and Elder Scrolls, anything like that, up until this point, it was all very static conversations. Like, it was, like, cut, reverse cut kind of stuff. Shot, reverse shot, I mean. So it's like, you say a thing, other person says a thing, and it just cuts back and forth to faces.
Yeah.
And this one was not that at all. Like, cameras moving everywhere where they're talking, they're like walking and talking and like
much more
I'm just like, wow, I do remember playing it the first time 10 years ago being like, this is actually a cinematic game.
Right.
Like, they cared about this a lot. And it really elevates the entire stage for everything going on.
And I feel like choice-driven games, I don't know, I mean, they've been around obviously for a long time, but it felt like that was the beginning of like the new era of like your choices really mattering and well, okay, in 2.
They felt like in 2, yeah, we can say like, let's ignore 3. We'll move on from 3. And like, if your choices really mattered by the end of it. But in 2, it felt like your choices mattered a lot for the choices you made in 2.
Right. And that ended up being the kind of game that I gravitated toward. I remember finishing Witcher 3, and Brad's that's just hounding me like, you gotta play fucking Mass Effect. And I was like, oh, fucking, all right. I don't like sci-fi, but fuck, I'll do it. And just being blown away by Mass Effect, like really, really enjoying it despite some, obviously the gameplay mechanics that held it back that we've talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But then loading up 2 and just being fucking whisked away like that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go. Are you going to beat it? Are you going to go all the way through it?
I think I might. Like, I just booted up and I'm just like, this is fun. I don't know how long that's the thing. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I definitely want to play more of it still. Like, it immediately just gets its hooks in you and you're like, oh yeah, I don't want to stop playing this. This is too good.
I should probably do that. I'm almost certain on the Xbox I downloaded all of the DLC. Maybe I'll continue my Mass Effect save from Mass Effect on Xbox simply because I never played the DLC for 2. I just played 2 and didn't play
DLC. There was not all of it was great, but Layer of the Shadow Broker was really, really fucking important. Like, really important. Right,
and I never played that. And was there 2? Arrival was one of them.
Yeah, there was a one that was, God, what was it? Well, there's the character ones. There was Zaid and Kasumi. Did you ever have those?
Nope.
I guess other companions.
Right, because in Shadowbroker, there's some people said like the best companion was in Shadowbroker.
It doesn't come in Shadowbroker.
Oh, really?
Although Shadowbroker, do you play with Liara? Is Liara's in there, but I think she's maybe ever as a companion in Shadowbroker again. Because it's all about her. But Zaid and Kasumi were 2 of the additional squad members, DLC squad members, and they all came with their own missions. Overlord was a mission, and that was dealing with what did it deal with? AI, virtual intelligence stuff. Gone Rogue was a pretty self-contained story. I think that was the main one. It was that one, and it was Layer of the Shadow Broker. What was Arrival? There was one thing called Arrival that was like a bridge between Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a bunch of other small stuff. Like, there's a lot of just small, like, individual pieces. Like, you can go to the Normandy crash site DLC. Cool. Like, you could go through where Shepard died, basically.
Right.
And piece together, find different things there. A bunch of weapon and armor packs, too. Appearance packs. They went crazy with the DLC in Mass Effect 2.
Right.
It was also the first game that, I think this was the game that made EA pull their games off of, it's either this one.
Off of Steam, right?
Yeah, it was this one or Dragon Age 2, where they came out around the same time, and because I have Mass Effect 2 on Steam.
Yeah, me too, that's where I played.
I still have it, but I do know that this is like one of the issues where EA was like, we're gonna pull off out of Steam because they couldn't come to an agreement on Steam taking 30% of DLC money.
Right.
Whenever Steam basically was like, if you're going to offer DLC, you have to make it be available through Steam itself. And Mass Effect 2 and think Dragon Age 2, you bought it in the game itself. Like, it wasn't separated out. And they just, at one point they hit a wall and stopped dealing with each other.
Right, which is why none of my saves transferred from any of the games. I went from Xbox to Steam to Origin.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm playing the Mass Effect 2. I reinstalled it off of Origin, actually, because it had all the DLC there.
Right.
Although I have every installer for every piece of DLC for Mass Effect 2 still. I saved that. I backed that shit up.
Of course.
Yeah, because there was all individual installers you got off from BioWare. And that stuff doesn't exist anymore on BioWare.
Right.
BioWare shut all that stuff down. So, I remember it's funny. It's followed me around for a decade at this point. Just sitting on a zip file on my hard drive.
Always be able to install it again.
Yeah, so.
If need arises.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at the game. I mean, I enjoy Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 2 is just so far above what 1 was. In almost every way. Story-wise, character-wise, gameplay-wise.
Mako-wise.
Let's get rid of the Mako. It's bad. I feel bad.
Mining the planets.
Yeah, as it's not, I would say, any better. And 2, it's better that the fact that you just don't have to wander around randomly boring things.
Waiting for it to vibrate or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I really wish they could figure out what they would want to do there. And really, although it doesn't matter, that's the thing with 2, I don't feel having the ability to drive around planets would have made the game better. Because it was such a tightly designed story, and structure. I just feel like, oh yeah, you gotta wander around on a planet until you find something. Just would kill the pace so much.
It reminds me of what happened with Uncharted Lost Legacy, where Uncharted games obviously are famous for being pretty tight corridor games. What is it called? Like narrow path or whatever. It's not really open world, but then you get to one level where it's totally open world and it just grinds the pace to a halt.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think would happen as well. Then you have that big area, but you also feel like you have to fill it, and it kind of just feels like filler.
Yeah.
And, it just does not fit. And as far as I understand it, that's what Mass Effect Andromeda opened it up more. It was more open world. So.
And I mean, I've heard people talking about it, said that, if you want, enjoyment of driving the vehicle around, Andromeda actually, is, of all the games, the one that really nailed the fact of feeling cool driving around a planet. And in a world, it's not dumb like the first game and half-hearted like they did in 2 and 3.
Right.
They nailed it, but it's just not attached to a game I care about. God. Maybe there'll be another Mass Effect one day. Where
there has to be. There must be. It's too big of an IP to let go away, but it's EA, so who the hell knows?
Yeah, I just don't think it'll be BioWare doing it.
Give it to Respawn.
That's true. Yeah.
That would be pretty crazy. I guess just to wrap up this conversation, the inevitable and oft-asked question, are we getting a fucking remaster? I mean, for the next generation, I guess. I
would hope. Again, it's one of those things where I just feel like there's money there. Right. People would buy it, even if it's not like a remake, just a remaster. That's the thing. You do not need to remake these games. 1, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I think 1 needs it the most.
But 2, playing it now, it doesn't need that much to be considered modern, and look good still. It's 2 and 3 are fine. It's just figuring out what to do with 1 more than anything. And maybe that's what holds them back, is they're just God, it would take so much money to make 1 work at the level we need it to work.
Right.
Which is sad, but true. But I have to believe EA wants to do something here. They want the money. At some point, they'll want it. It won't be BioWare doing it. BioWare is focused on
saving
Mass Effect, Dragon Age 4.
But also rebooting Anthem.
Yep, and those KOTOR rumors, which I doubt that's BioWare doing it. The rumors are that there's a remake of KOTOR 1 and 2 happening. But I just don't think BioWare would be involved really beyond just making sure the story fits. But I'm sure they would put that to a different team to do the remake.
Right.
And EA has enough teams that they could pass that around. So yeah, I think they just get a studio to just redo these games. Put them on Switch, please. I want to play this all. I want to play the entire trilogy on Switch.
That's where I want it. Just give it to me right there, because then I could play it anywhere, and I probably will play them all. Give us like a Witcher 3 thing where it's just like this huge cart with all the games, fucking all the DLC, whatever.
Yeah,
all in one spot.
I think all the games even together wouldn't be huge.
Right.
Not as like Witcher 3 is an enormous install, but I was like installed. Mass Effect 2 was like a 13 gigabyte install on disk with all DLC.
And if you drop the textures down to get on Switch, it's going to be less than that, probably.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how much you had to drop it down for Mass Effect 2.
I don't think you'd have to drop it down much at all. I think they could just run it. Actually, for sure, it could just probably just run it fine. 30 frames per second. No issues. Go.
You know, EA, just give us 2.
Yeah, just 2.
Forget the other ones.
It's all you kind of need. It's okay. It stands alone.
Right.
Yeah, and I do think I'm going to keep playing it more. I kind of miss those characters, so can't really say no to that.
No. Well, that's our Mass Effect 2 discussion. 10 years?
10 years.
That's crazy. We're fucking old.
Yep.
That's what that tells me. Let's move on to what we've been playing recently besides Mass Effect 2.
So mine hasn't changed. I have now at about 30 hours into Slay the Spire on Switch. That's all I play.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's just got its hooks in me. I love the loop of it. I think it's one of the best roguelikes I've played in years. I've unlocked everything on the Switch now, so I just have full access to everything. So the runs are just a ton of fun, trying out different deck strategies. So, has I played anything else in the past week but that? I mean, I think I've put like 15 or 16 hours into it this week. So,
how long's a run?
Let's say a successful run, like through the whole thing, usually takes about an hour and 15.
Okay.
A failed run, 15, 20 minutes max.
That's kind of nice. That difference is nice because you're not wasting too much time when you fuck it up, but then you really get going pretty long. If things are, and it's pretty obvious whenever you have a subpar deck or or relics just aren't working out right. You can usually make it through the first act, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you'll get into Act 2 and you'll just get trounced pretty damn hard, pretty quick. Right.
You'll be like, no, was not prepared. Did not. Just barely scraped by to get here, and it all just collapses, which is fine. I mean, that's the type of game it is, and you should just restart and go again. It was fun telling my son that. He's like, well, what happened? What do you mean you just restart? I'm like, well, that's what you do. You restart. You just keep playing the game over and over again.
But you lose everything?
Yeah. He's like, you could just tell in his head, he's like, does not compute.
It's like, why would I do that?
Why are you doing this? I'm like, oh, it's fun. Like,
some people have the same question.
Yeah, I really enjoy deck builders, like tabletop games, deck building games, and this is that digitally with a really, really cool and well designed and well balanced RPG progression to it. So,
right,
I'm sold. So yeah, I played a ton of that, and then some Mass Effect 2, and was I playing? I don't think I played anything else. That's it. Yeah. I at one point I will play something new, but I worry I won't also anytime soon because there's another big patch for Slay the Spire should be hitting Switch anytime now.
Yeah, just jump right back to it.
2.0 is coming out, which is a ton of changes plus another character.
Oh, awesome.
A fourth character.
Yeah.
Which is out on PC on Steam right now. It's just, they said it takes, as expected, once it comes out on Steam, it takes a small amount of time for the port to happen to consoles. So, it will get there. And just about the time I'm probably finishing up with it and going to set it down, that will happen. And I'll have a whole nother character to play and learn. So, the game that keeps on giving. I don't need to buy anything else until Animal Crossing, I guess.
I mean, yeah, and it's what was it, $20?
Yeah, Slay the Spire's $20. It's been on sale multiple times. But I think it's $20-$25 normally on Switch. Sometimes it goes on sale there. It's on sale, like right now on Steam, I think it's like $15 for the Lunar New Year.
Oh yeah, totally.
But that's what I've been playing.
Awesome. For me, a couple things. So my cousin came down this weekend, and we took the PlayStation to the casino for when we didn't want to be losing money. We'd go to the hotel room and play. But
was it a lose money situation at the casino?
For me, it fucking was. But I played probably 8 hours on my money, which was nice. Like,
That's good.
Took what I could afford to lose, and played 2 different games. Blackjack, like, played forever, man. Like, I can play blackjack forever. But then I played this 6-card poker game with my cousin because he was interested in checking it out. He's played something similar, and I fucking lost a lot of money in about 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
So take away those 10 minutes, and the rest of the 24 hours was pretty awesome. But those 10 minutes really sucked. But I brought my PlayStation because this week I got back into Horizon Zero Dawn, and I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I had my PlayStation on. I was like, you know what? I want to start like wrapping up games that I'm, 25 hours into, but just haven't finished yet. I went back into it, and as happens, you obviously have to like get used to the weapons and figure out like how to fucking play the game. But every time I play and then drop off and come back in, like I'm getting my ass kicked by, I'm like running through and getting swarmed by like 10 different animals, different machines, basically, when I'm trying to target one. Like I let my cousin play. He played about an hour, and he's like, working on this one huge robot, and then all of a sudden he just gets sideswiped by like a what the fuck, like, not a watcher, but one of the other machines, and he just gets knocked the fuck out. So I just kept, even on just like the easy mode, basically, I kept finding myself swarmed so often that it was just kind of irritating me. So I dropped it down to story mode. I've never really done that in a game, and I was just like, I want the fucking story. Like, the combat's all right. I'm not in love with the combat, and I think I would be if I were playing more consistently in a row. Because playing now, I'm starting to see like, okay, I shoot, like I throw like a frost bomb or whatever, and then it makes the enemy sensitive to some other type of weapon. So there's a lot of complexity in the strategy of what weapons you deploy to, like, basically get them ready to do massive damage. So that was really cool. But just bringing down story mode, like I'm able to be swarmed and not die, which is nice. So I can kind of handle that situation. But then it's helped me just get through the mundane, going across the map, getting wrecked by things. And moving on to the major story beats. So that's been pretty good. And then I realized what I had done in 2017 with the game is the reason why this game has been driving me fucking nuts. And every time I come to it, I just put my controller down and say, nope, this is not for me. I get lost in this game more than any other game. Oh, wow. It's really weird because I don't feel like that's the case for most people.
No.
Yeah. Like, I talked to Brad about it, talked to you about it, like other people who've played it. Like, it's not... I think I chalk it up to just like how piecemeal I've played it. But my cousin, when he was playing, the place where you go in, you're stealthing in to like get to the top of the long neck to check out the device on top of it. And then you have to like run back out. So just in advance of that place, Silence was telling you to go to a certain place. And then he got in there. And then he couldn't find where he was supposed to go. He was looking for handholds to climb up into the trees, and he couldn't find it. And he looked around for like 15 minutes, and I was like, this is what's driving me nuts about this game. So then I took the controller and went back to the start, and then I organically found it, which was cool, because usually I can't in that game. But then I realized what I had done in 2017 was turn off all of the way marking, did the dynamic HUD. So like literally... the thing that's frustrated me the most about that game, like going to Meridian the first time, not figuring out how to get up in the Meridian, like all this different shit. Like if I just turned on the quest waymarkers, it would have shown me where to go, and I would have had more enjoyment with the game. So it's on me, that shit. At the same time, it's a little frustrating because almost any other game, I don't really need that to know where I'm going. So it's the Breath of the Wild thing, where like Breath of the Wild came at the same time, you can climb over fucking anything. Whereas this, if you're not really following the path, sometimes you really can't get through.
Nope.
So it's just all those things mixed together were just so frustrating for me in that game. And then I dialed those things back, turned it into story mode, put on the waymarkers, and it's just like a lot of the friction has disappeared, and I've fucking fallen into the game. I probably put 2, 3, 4 hours this week into it.
Nice.
Which is more than I put into it in the entire of 2019 and maybe 2018 altogether. So yeah, I've done that. And then and then we played Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2. 2 games that I've played, I don't know, 20, 30 hours into both games, or altogether 40 between the two. My cousin hasn't played them at all, ever, and hasn't played Mortal Kombat since, he was like 10 or 11. He whooped my ass, dude. Like, just kicked my fucking face in. I was like, we had fun, but I was like, this is so hilarious that I can't beat you. I finally beat him once, and I was like, all right, Felt pretty good. So that's what we've been playing. That's what I've been playing.
That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, Horizon would be pretty hard if you're going piecemeal at it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's easy to forget. It's a game, if you're playing it on normal, which, yeah, I just played it on normal, it requires, like, the monster fights you have to be prepared for more than anything. Right. Like, it's a lot like the Witcher hunts in that regard. It's like, no, you need to know, you're like, oh, this creature is weak to these things. This is where I should be shooting at or trying to hit it. Like, what? And you got to build up this knowledge base.
And I've done none of that work.
Yeah,
and
so it makes it so hard to fight those things if you're not preparing yourself for it. And then also, weirdly, preparing the battlefield. Like,
with the traps and things like that?
Yep, choosing your engagement area is huge in that game. And, like, prepping your engagement area, being like, all right, I'm going to set up here, and I'm going to pull it here. And traps are going to have these traps ready to go off here and here. Yeah, I do remember, like, there is quite a bit to that system and what the game expects out of you. And it's not something I feel like, exactly like you said, coming back to it after not playing it for a long time, you'd be like, what the hell do I do?
And it's not at all the fault of the game. It's me.
Like,
those, all that we just described sounds really fun if I were able to, like, sit and put that time into it.
Yeah.
And I just have not been able to do that. So just basically dumb down the difficulty, and it's been good for me.
You can get through the story, and the story is really good.
It is. It's getting a lot better. It really is. Who the fuck is the voice actor for Silence?
I know he's a famous dude.
Yeah. His voice is so familiar. It's obviously the voice actor.
Lance Riddick.
That's his name, Lance Riddick. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? He's did the mocap as well, because it looks like him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who I should.
Yep, Lance Riddick. Reddick. Yeah, there we go. He was in, I think he was in Quantum Break.
He's in a lot of things.
Wow,
a lot of games and TV and film. Like, he's pretty well versed in a lot of things, because he was at, like, recently he's been the John Wick movies.
Yeah.
He's in there. I remember the first time I saw him in, at least I remember him, was in Fringe TV show.
He was the main character in that game, or in that show. I mean.
He was a main role. He was kind of boss to the main characters.
Oh, he's in The Wire too, and Lost.
Yeah,
okay.
and Wire. Right. Yeah, he was in The Wire. I remember that. I saw that afterward. Yeah, he has quite.
He's the fucking voice of Zavala in Destiny.
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's it. That's where I knew that voice from. I could not fucking place it.
Yep, Zavala.
And then also in Quantum Break. Yep, there we go.
Yep. Yeah, the dude has quite a resume on his hands.
Yeah. But fuck, I mean, it just sounds exactly like fucking Zavala.
Yep.
Oh man, that was driving me fucking nuts.
There you go.
I feel so good now. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. I'm going to put some more time into it, but school's starting tomorrow, so I'm going to be slammed for the foreseeable future.
What doesn't have to? My kids don't have school tomorrow for whatever reason, because it's an off day so that teachers can get report cards ready or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like, but it's still funny. I'm like, they had last Monday off too. I'm like, do you guys ever go to school? Ever?
I need you to go to school, please.
It's fine. It's just one of those things of being like, 2 Mondays in a row. And then when's President's Week is coming up?
Middle of
February.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, cool. 2 weeks, then you get another week off. I'm like, God damn it, guys. It's fine. It's probably better for them anyway, in a lot of ways, to have time to play and fun, especially at their age. But still, I'm like, didn't we always have to go to school?
I feel like we didn't really have that many days off. That's
not like this. I don't remember having days off like they get days off. It's fine. I'm not really complaining about it, but it's just funny. It's more
kids are happy.
Yeah, kids. Kind of. They like school, so
that's good. Good. School is great.
It is when you're having a good time there. So. But yeah, I think that's it. We'll see. Probably play some more Mass Effect this coming week.
Nice. I might try to load it up and see how that goes. But again, this week's going to be fucking bonkers.
I'm sure.
Well, we did it. Episode 227. Did I get that right?
Yes.
227, Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like us, check us out on Patreon. Forgot my password for Patreon, so I haven't logged in about 2 weeks. So if you're a new Patreon supporter and I haven't contacted you, it's because I'm an idiot. And I will rectify that soon. If you like our podcast, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. Tell your friends, etc., etc. We will be back next week for the next episode, and at some fucking point, there's got to be a Nintendo Direct, like a real legit one.
Yeah, it's got to happen here
for us to talk about. We had the indie one, we had the Smash one. Give us a regular one now, guys, because we don't know what the fuck's coming out this year. Nope. It's got to be like an Animal Crossing tie-in one.
Yeah, there's going to be that because that's coming. That's their next big thing. And that's March 20th, I believe. Yep. Yeah.
In the 20s at least. That's all I know.
So yeah, we're not too far out from that. So there's got to be something. It would fit that they would do something soon.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. All right, my friends. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
All right. Later.